Hello, world. Welcome to Chats with Baba's podcast. The purpose of this podcast, as I designed it, was to inform and empower parents of Black children. And the importance of that is that parents are the first and most important teacher in the lives of children. And by informing them with information and knowledge about how children learn and develop, enables them to do the kinds of things that will lay that important foundation. All of what we're doing is to get them ready for formal learning that will come later. But it's what you do during those early years that is critical to formal learning. We know that this has been a year of challenges. The pandemic has caused all kinds of concerns about schools opening, schools closing, schools starting, lost learning, etc. And so it looks like the cloud is going to be moved so that children can get back in school. Now, that means there's some things I want you to be concerned about as I'm sharing with you. The school year, for the most part, is 180 days. And I think I shared some of this last week. I just want to reiterate a few things here. And so they're behind. And the issue is closing that gap of lost learning. A major concern, parents, is for you to be concerned about their well-being. How are they emotionally? How are they in terms of their health? Because, you know, if you're around children, they just naturally gravitate to each other. That's just the way young children are. That won't be possible going back into the school setting. So I just want you to be aware of that as they're going back in, and it won't be business as usual. The other piece is this. My suggestion to you is this. If you have the possibility of getting a tutor, there's going to be a lot of tutoring going on, but what children with this lost learning, the tutoring that would be most effective is one-to-one tutoring. So much of what will go on in schools will be one to small groups. That's effective, but it's less effective than the one-to-one tutoring. So being that, I just wanted to share that with you. You hear a lot about, in the pandemic, about the different vaccine choices. And what does the research tell you? Is one better than the other? So you hear a lot of, in terms of studies and whatever. Tonight, I want to focus on play. And I want to focus on what the research says about play and the importance of play for babies, infants, toddlers. The way that they best learn is through play. But let me make a statement here. The late Asa Hilliard, who was one of the foremost scholars in the last century, had a school dedicated to him in East Point, and I was there at the dedication of the school. And one of the flyers that was passed out, he says there's two things that's critical when you're trying to unlock the genius in children. It's there. Remember, I've said this in some of my earlier podcasts, and that was the impetus for doing this podcast. There's genius in children, but we have to unlock it. He said there are two critical factors as he's traveled the world that makes a difference in when people are engaging with children. He was primarily talking about teachers, but the same thing is applicable to parents as well. There are children who don't get the best, but I'm trying to offer you what the research says about what the best is. Two things he says. Children want to be treated like human beings. And the second thing you do, give them unconditional love. with that being said, there's nothing that restricts them. Stay with me for a moment. I teach a course that's on infant and toddler development. And in this course that I teach, I talk about beyond the pregnancy, once a child gets here, he or she comes into the world ready to learn. It's only been within recent years that we find that the research tells us that 85% of the brain is developed between birth and 85%. That's an enormous amount of what happens there relative to the children's learning. But I also want to share with you what the baby doctors, the American Academy of Pediatrics, is saying. And these are the concerns that they have relative to what they've seen with the last 2 generations of children. This is not a new report, but the reports continue to come out and they continue to raise the concerns. As I've said, they just reinforce this from a medical standpoint that children naturally learn through play. Their concern is that parents are trying to provide a lot of structured activities, high-tech toys, and things of that nature. And the baby doctors are saying early on that deprives children of their natural skills of playing. You know, parents get overly concerned, if there's such a thing as being overly concerned. But what they're saying is we're taking away from children their creativity by providing structured activities, high-tech toys, things of that nature. Some of the innate skills that children come here with are being lost. Okay, when I say innate, these are the skills that they're born with, and they're being lost because of some anxiety on the part of parents to ensure that the children are getting all of what they need. Well, if we attend to what they naturally do, they will get what they should get through play. But I also want to share with you, and I understand that anxiety. The bottom line is, once we get through this, at the end of the tunnel, will they have the foundation for literacy? I can assure you that they will. And one of the concerns is, let's just take the babies for just a moment. You can help babies to develop language about their body as you are dealing with them. And this is called self-vocabulary. As you're playing with them, this is the hand, you touch the hand. This is the nose, you touch the nose. You touch all of the body parts and you name them. You touch the ear, you touch the knee, you touch the thigh, you touch the belly, you touch the thumb, you touch the fingers, you touch the shoulders, you touch the nose, you touch the hair, you touch the lips, you touch the toes. And as you're doing this, certainly that infant is not going to respond orally, but as you continue to do this, you are calling their attention to the body parts by name. As they emerge into toddlerhood, and when the language kicks in, they can now associate the body parts with names. As you touch the nose, as you touch the ear, as you touch the fingers. I know I'm being redundant, but part of learning is repetition. You know, it's repetition without drilling, but just calling attention to that. And I think that I just wanted to share that with you, because the self part helps the child to begin to understand his or her self-worthiness. And they begin to have some sense of the body image and what all these parts mean, what they do, and how they function. And as you're doing this, and as you're attending to the child, no doubt you will see the child smiling, laughing, and in the brain as they're thinking, they are making associations, word associations as you are labeling the parts. Now let me fast forward. The other piece of it is, even as you are tending to the babies and infants, you want to read to them. What the research tells us is this: the mother's level of literacy is a major factor in how much they will and what they will learn to read. The mother's level of literacy. So it's important that babies have individuals around them who can read to them, because what the research tells us is that children who are frequently read to during those growing years score higher in terms of school achievement and things of that nature. But I don't want to get off into just the whole testing part. But all of what we're doing is laying that foundation for formal schooling. All of this is done in a very playful, joyful, meaningful way, without having to sit down and drill them. So again, we don't want to strip them of their natural creativity. We want play to be fun. We want it to be meaningful, and you don't have a whole lot of rules with children. They just play naturally. There's not a whole lot of rules, and what they play with is self-selected. Now, if you see where children are not gravitating to anything, then you can sort of nudge certain items to them so that they can either grasp it or whatever. But for the most part, children engage themselves in the whole operation of playing. Yeah, as a parent, it's important that you understand the need to be supportive of children, and supportive, and to provide the kind of time that they need as they engage in play. All children need to have sufficient time to enjoy their play. And, children will give you clues of how long they can sustain themselves. If it's something that they are engaging in and it's fun, there's no limit how long they can sustain themselves. But your role is one of support and being with the child, and making sure that the environment that he or she is playing in is safe and is healthy and is clean. And that kind of play will go on during that year of development, during the infancy, during the toddlerhood, and so forth and so on. And what you will notice, what the things that the children will gravitate to that has pricked their interest, and the things that engages them as they're going through the activity of play. Yeah, children need plenty of space where they can move around. They need to have items that they can't put in their mouth. Young children have a tendency to want to put everything in their mouth. So you don't want to give them small items. You want to put items that are soft, that they can play with, that they can move about, and so forth and so on. There are times that you engage with them while they're playing. Often they want to play by themselves. And what you can notice is that play is a very enjoyable activity for the children. So you can join in and engage and play with them as they're going through whatever it is that they do. And is it daily? Sometimes children can play all day. There are times they will engage themselves. There are other times that they won't. And a lot of what's going on in there, as I talked about the labeling the body parts, they begin to have some sense of self-worth, and all of what you're doing is connected to their self-esteem, how they feel, and on and on and on. Yeah, all of this as I'm chatting with you is linked. You know, moving forward, it's all linked to more formal learning that will come. So the idea during the early years is to promote learning and development through play. And as you're doing this, you're providing them with activities that will ensure that you are stimulating their thinking. You are stimulating their interest and stimulating their curiosity. So over a period of time, they will gravitate from babies into toddlerhood into preschoolers. Now, when they get to the preschool age, which is really roughly 3, but between 2 and 3, their language is beginning to evolve. Their ability to use one word, 2 word sentences begins to be a part of their engagement with you. And you then see what you have is this unfolding child. If provided with good nurturing during those first 18 to 24 months, you are now they are evolving into their preschool year. I don't want to overstate the importance of play, nor do I want to understate the importance of play, because that's how children learn. Okay, and that's where they gain that self-worth. So that sort of kind of lays the foundation for the next couple of podcasts. We'll move from the babies to the toddlers to the preschoolers, and we'll talk more formally about what that means in terms of the kinds of things that you do with them, and so forth and so on. I hope this podcast is provide the kind of information that will that's of help to the parents as they continue nurturing the unfolding of the genius in our children. You can go to my website, drjamesyoung.com, and you can see the books that I have that gives a lot more clarity on the connection between culture and academic excellence. I look forward to chatting with you next week. Good evening.